says we're live. Zapstream says we're live.
Twitter live.
Twitter live. Refresh YouTube. It says it's scheduled for now, which is strange. No, we're live. Okay, says we're live. 3 for 3. Welcome everyone. If you're one of the early ones in, I'm just going to wait for another 60 seconds or so, just for a few more people to stop by before opening up the show. In the meantime, Max, I've just had a thought. We could do with some lift music for this, just for these first 60 seconds where we go live and then waiting for people to filter in. I feel like that could be good. Maybe we could get John McAfee to read us a poem or something. Welcome to Bitcoin Derby. It was great to meet you in Riga, by the way, mate. And welcome to Vibrant as well. Oh, we've got 2 people in the Noster chat as well. Bond's around, and so is Observer. Hello, gentlemen. Or ladies. I'm just going to presume your chromosomal structure there.
Starting out spicy.
Okay, let's get started, guys, because we're always pushed for time anyway with this being such a short show. Hello and welcome again to Freedom Tech Friday. If you are new here, Freedom Tech Friday is a weekly live and interactive show hosted on the Ungovernable Misfits Twitter, Noster, and YouTube feeds. We go live for roughly 1 hour every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern US time or 2 p.m. UK time. But you can, of course, catch up on the Ungovernable Misfits podcast feed after the fact. On Freedom Tech Friday, we like to cover off the latest news, trends for anything relating to any general freedom tech or freedom technologies. That can be anything from Bitcoin or Monero to encrypted messengers, privacy tools, and everything in between. Essentially, if there's a news item, tool, or topic that can help you take back some control in today's digital panopticon, then we will probably be talking about it. I'm Q&A, and I'm Head of Customer Experience at Foundation, where we build Bitcoin-focused sovereignty tools. And as always, I am joined by my good friend Max, who is the head honcho at Ungovernable Misfits, and Seth, who is VP of Operations over at Cake Wallet. This, as I mentioned, is a live and interactive show, and we really do rely on you guys to steer us towards the topics that you want covered, or by posting your Freedom Tech related questions. There's loads of ways in which you can get involved, all of which really help spread awareness for the show. Some examples would be commenting or asking questions in the live chat, submitting your topics or questions before the show on Twitter or Noster. We ask for your input each week, giving the show a boost on Fountain or any of the other podcasting 2.0 apps. Sending in your questions and tips via Bitcoin or Monero at xmrchat.com/UGMF. And finally, just generally sharing the show on X or Noster really does help. So, without further ado, let's dive in, shall we? Gentlemen, Max, Seth, how is it going?
Very good, mate. Can I just say that was an amazing intro?
It's almost
really
as if it's almost as if I planned ahead of time and read it out aloud.
So organised.
Can't
so
give away
robotic.
your secrets, man.
I'll never make a real podcaster, will I? I keep
I don't know,
giving
mate.
away the secrets.
I don't know, mate. Yeah, no, all good here, mate. Excited to be having Seth back with us and covering some of the topics we weren't so sure on last time. Also, nice to see that everything is running very smoothly today. No glitches so far, and good to see some familiar faces in the chat. So happy to be here.
You had to say that it's going smoothly. On air.
I know.
And now it's just
don't jinx
gonna hit the fan, man. You can't
Let's
do
be
that.
confident. We
It's
can't
true.
be
It's true.
jinxed.
We're good. All 3 of us are here.
Yeah,
I know.
Everything's working properly technically. Like we're doing it. We're podcasters, guys.
We're spreading our
We're
wings.
podcasters.
We're mainstream. Here we come.
We are. I think I joked about it before, but it is hilarious how all the timing worked out of launching the show and then planned and unplanned absences and
Like, wow, straight into holiday season.
yeah. Not exactly how we planned it, but thank you to everybody who's listening, keeping up with us despite the technical difficulties, us being in and out. We're hitting our stride. I'm really excited to jump in. Excited to get back to this. I've missed you guys. Missed you listeners. I missed y'all's amazing questions. So yeah, looking forward to jumping into today.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you back, mate. And Clem Fandango has posted a comment on Twitter. What's going on? No technical difficulties. I must be in the wrong live stream. And also, Stop the Presses. Within the first 60 seconds of the show, good friend of the show, Super Fat Arrow, has come in with a super fat boost, 10k sats over on Monster. What a guy.
Thank you, mate. Yeah,
nice to have you with us, mate.
We love you.
All right, guys. Introduction's done. Jokes about technical difficulties out the way. Still sat here with my fingers crossed, but yeah, we'll see how we go. Let's dive into the show. There was no, for me, correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, live stream chat, no huge groundbreaking news items this week that I deemed worthwhile or that I discovered were worthwhile. So I want to do a little bit of a curveball here and open the first part of the show with a bit of a chatter about some of our favourite Freedom Tech apps and perhaps doing a bit of a deep dive into maybe just one Freedom Tech app that has kind of rocked your world a little bit. It doesn't necessarily have to be your favourite or the most polished. It could just be the one you use the most, or maybe just the one that you're most fond of. So I'd be keen to kind of understand, and I'll kick this off, guys, just to give you guys a bit of time to kind of think here, but basically, outside of Bitcoin and Monero, because, you know, Ungovernable Misfits feed is well covered with that sort of stuff, what one application has been super impactful for you from a Freedom Tech perspective? You can tell us about the app, which apps it has replaced, if any, on your phone. You know, especially if you were previously using kind of like the de facto or the legacy normie version. Obviously tell us why you like the app, and finally give us any insights as to how you use it and how it forms part of your workflow. So whilst you guys are thinking of that, I'll kick off, and I think this app that I'm about to mention ticks all of those boxes. It's probably the one I use the most. It's been the most impactful. It's very much improved my privacy, improved my workflow and everything, and that is Notesnook. Now, Notesnook is a cross-platform, open source and free, although there is a paid service, which I'll get onto shortly. Basically, it's a notes app, as the name suggests. You can have different folders, you can have notebooks, you can organize your notes, you can give them tags, give them colors. And it's just if you're an avid note taker like I am for both personal and work-based tasks, then it really is a bit of a powerhouse of an app that it helps me organize my life. Just some examples: I've got one for work at Foundation, I've got one for kind of my gym training plan, I've got another one for everything related to Ungovernable Misfits, another one for finances, another one for like website work, training plans, and then just general personal notes and reminders. So it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. It's not just like a plain text kind of app. You can do all different types of formatting on there. If you're a bit more advanced, you could do Markdown or HTML. And I'm sure there's loads of other formatting options on there as part of the pro version that you can use if you see fit. The app itself is completely end-to-end encrypted, and this is one of the real kind of shining points for me with Notesnook, is that whatever I type into this app is encrypted locally on the device. It's then automatically synced to all of my other devices that are running the Notesnook app. Doesn't matter whether that's an iPad, a Pixel 9 running Graphene, my Mac, my Linux machine. If it's got a Notesnook app on there, as soon as I make an update to any of those apps, that is automatically synced back across to all of the other apps, irrespective of what platform they're on. So I can kind of be downstairs eating some lunch, and have a quick idea for something for us to talk about on the show, let's say, and all I've got is my phone next to me. I can quickly tap that into Notesnook, and then when I come back up to my main laptop upstairs in my office, that is already there, and I can continue working on that note, and vice versa across all of my devices is also true. So great from a sync perspective and from a productivity perspective. And as I said, it's end-to-end encrypted. So essentially, all the Notesnook people that run the Notesnook servers see is an encrypted blob associated with the email that I provided with them when I signed up. Once again, as always with anything email based, if you don't want to use, first name, last name at gmail.com, which is probably not a great idea, then you can use, a Proton alias or something like that, which is, another great tool. So in terms of information that the NoteSnook people have on me, it's essentially an email address and an encrypted blob of data that automatically syncs wherever I go within the NoteSnook ecosystem. So what did it replace for me? It replaced, basically having Notes apps all over, all of my different devices on different platforms, which was, not impossible to sync across. I know there's options like SyncThing, etc. But it's just an additional piece of software that you need to run to be able to achieve exactly the same task. So mine kind of, not only did it give me improved privacy, it gave me improved productivity because of everything automatically syncs. And I think that kind of caps it off, really. For things with NoteSnook, I'm actually ashamed to admit that right now I'm not even a paying customer because the free version very much meets my needs. But I may explore now that I've just kind of spelled back out to myself how useful this thing is and how much I use it every single day. I may go back and look at that NoteSnook Pro just to see if there's any additional features that I might use, even just occasionally, just so I can support the team. Because as we always wax lyrical about, it is important to support these open source developers and these open source teams, because I think this is a fantastic product, and it's one that I use every single day, and it's improved my kind of workflow to no end.
You do what you do with Monograph with NoteSnook. Do you need to use both?
One and the same.
That's a great point.
It is the same thing.
I'm really glad you brought that up, actually. So the Monograph thing that Max is referring to, I actually use this for the shared show notes for the Bitcoin brief and for this show that you're listening to right now, guys. And I'm pretty sure, Seth, you use exactly the same thing for the Monero show as well. Yep. It's basically the ability to publish one of your notes to a public URL with the click of a button. So basically what I do is I do the show notes, I gather all the questions up from Twitter and X, etc. And I literally just publish that note, and I share a URL with Seth and with Max, and they can see, basically, they can just read that note. There's no kind of additional configuration or anything like that. And anytime that I make changes to the note, again, it's a one click to just update. And it's just a really simple way to share a specific piece of information directly from within NoteSnook.
Okay. So it's part of the same ecosystem, basically.
It certainly is, yeah. It's just that, like I say, a one click thing from within any of your notes if you want to make them public. And like I say, if you want to take that note offline thereafter, make it inaccessible, again, it's just a single click.
And can it do? I can't remember what the app is. Ben Gunn always raves about it and was trying to get me to use it, where you put all your notes in, you can do markup and all that stuff, and then it like maps out like a big brain where all connections are between notes and links and stuff like that. It looks like a massive orb with like node connections on there. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think that would be probably Obsidian.
Yes,
which is
that's it. Obsidian.
Way too much of a learning curve for me.
Me too. I found it really annoying, but it looked cool, like with all the links and stuff. And everyone who uses it heavily always says like how great it is. I just wondered if it has any sort of does NoteSnook have any features, smart features like that, where it kind of helps create links between projects or that kind of stuff?
I don't think it does the visual kind of mind map graphics, but you can definitely link between notes very easily, yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that one, Q, because that was definitely a top one for me. In that it's like I've tried every privacy preserving notes app like at length, and everyone just seemed to be missing something. Obsidian is one that I tried as well, and it was just too steep of a learning curve. Like had too many things that you could do in it that it just ended up being kind of problematic. And I feel like NoteSnook has struck the perfect middle ground for me, where I can use Markdown for formatting, which is like, that's very intuitive to me for some reason. I'm just like, I like writing in Markdown. So I enjoy being able to do that without anything extra. I don't change any settings. Sharing notes, being able to do them one time, password protected, take them down anytime, update them anytime. Like, yeah, it's absolutely killer. I use it daily in many different capacities: work, personal, sharing notes for some teaching that I do on the side. Like, there's a lot of different ways that I use it, and it's perfectly fit that use case. So I think that's a killer one.
Yeah, so just quickly cap it off before I hand it over to Seth to go through his one. Looking at the Pro version now, the benefits that you get would be you can attach high quality 4K images. It removes the monthly storage limit, which I've never hit, by the way, and I've been using this thing for well over 12 months. There's increased file upload sizes. There's no restrictions on file types. You can have cross-platform reminders. Interesting. You can also add 2FA as well to the... you can have app-based or SMS-based 2FA. To be clear, 2FA via email is default by all users, so you can just kind of have an app-based one as well. And also, I forgot to mention just finally, is that, and this is a part of the free one, not the paid tier, is that you can create your own theme as well. So if you don't like the default dark theme or the default light theme, and you want to make it, to match your Monero wallet color, or you want to make it Bitcoin orange, or you just want to make it all of the colors of the rainbow, a la Cake of last year, then you can go and do that if you want to.
How dare you? I don't know Cake ever looking like that.
So yeah, if you haven't tried out NoteSnook, it's absolutely free. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool. Go and give it a go.
Yeah, definitely recommend it. I also just I think you briefly mentioned it, but this is just one of those things where even if you don't need the Pro and you have the resources, like, I would recommend paying for it just to promote open source freedom tech. Like, it's a fantastic tool. So it's definitely an area where, like, I think I probably also don't need Pro, but as soon as I realized that it perfectly hit every use case I needed, was privacy preserving, open source, cross platform, like, I'm more than happy to pay for that. I think it's something like $50 a year if you pay yearly. So it's not expensive, but it definitely is something where if you have the resources available, I definitely recommend supporting these types of projects, because the more money people pour into these projects, the better they get, the more resources they have, and the faster freedom tech spreads. Definitely an important piece of that.
Yeah, the only, sorry, just to jump in again before you take over, the only downside I can point out with NoteSnook is that I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Seth, they don't offer the ability to go pro with paying with Bitcoin and Monero or anything similar.
You're right.
Ooh, gross.
I need to keep harassing them on that. Yeah, I did forget. So
that would essentially kind of, it's not the end of the world, but it would identify you as a NoteSnook user, which again,
they still know nothing about your usage.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you need to be anon, obviously that's a problem.
Come on,
good reason to
we've
then
just given you a massive shill. The least you can do is start accepting Bitcoin and Monero.
I'll send them the live stream after. Say, please.
Definitely do that.
Please. It's time. Okay. For me, this one will shock absolutely no one. So forgive my laziness here. But for me, favorite freedom tech app, Signal. I know it's not sexy or fun or niche or anything like that, but Signal has just done everything it needs to be an extremely useful app with a massive market following of people who both love privacy and people who have no idea what privacy is or why they should care. And the network effect in messaging apps is very, very real and exists in Signal. So it's, to me, it has hit this almost perfect balance of implementing extremely powerful intent encryption. Like, they have set the standard for messaging app encryption. The triple ratchet scheme that they use is the norm. It's also used by Simplex. Extremely powerful. Basically any messaging app that wants to do things right, because they nailed it in every way. So, like, the underlying encryption is fantastic. The user experience is very simple, but does everything that I need. And quite honestly, like, I've said this before, I think probably many times on podcasts, but it's the one privacy app that I've been able to onboard everyone I know to. Like, legitimately everyone I know, I message on Signal, or I should say everyone that I have an actual relationship with, like friends, family, they're all using Signal, and it's just super easy because it gives you all of the features people love from like iMessage, Telegram, etc. Yeah, maybe groups aren't quite as good, but for like this type of like one-on-one or small group usage, which I'm talking about, it just fits perfectly. So it's been a very easy onboard. I'm able to onboard like some groups that I run and stuff. We're all using Signal. I've noticed even recently at conferences, what has normally been the go-to of Telegram, like everyone wants to connect on Telegram for like business dev stuff. It's starting to become much more normal to actually use Signal. And I'm having people offer a Signal username instead of Telegram, which is super rare, and is another good sign that like the balances the Proton has struck, not being the most hardcore in many ways when it comes to privacy or anonymity, but finding the in between of good user experience and incredibly strong privacy that people just don't even think about is really, really powerful. And this is not to bash or say you shouldn't use other messaging apps, but I've tried them all. I love what specifically, like to call out one is like a maybe an honorable mention, like Simplex. I love so many of the ideas there, but for me, they haven't coalesced into a like extremely usable tool yet. But I love much of what Simplex promises to be, and I'm excited for what it will be. Whereas Signal just is what I need for everything. So it's replaced. I used to use Threema. I've tried pretty much everything under the sun, Simplex, and I've been able to just coalesce around this, get people off of iMessage is honestly fine, which is weird to say. I know like it does have good end-to-end encryption as well. So it's not a terrible alternative, but the problem for me is none of my like family and friends are all iPhone. So then you inevitably end up falling back to SMS. SMS is horrifyingly terrible for everything, privacy, functionality. Like it's a nightmare in the US, but it's super common. For those of you not in the US, like SMS messaging is an everyday thing. No one's on WhatsApp or I'm trying to think of what the
in
other
America.
ones. Yeah, in America. Yeah.
That's so backwards.
Yeah. I don't know why we're so backwards in that way, but SMS is still a legit, like very, very common thing. So
Nobody
iMessage kind of
uses it in
solves that.
Europe.
I know, and that's why it's really weird. I think a lot of people don't understand like how bad it is. But just being able to get off of SMS is well worth it. And Signal's provided that. Obviously open source, obviously end-to-end encrypted, really powerful. And people who don't care about privacy are happy to use it because it offers them functionality that they want. So yeah, that's been really cool. It's also like one last note that I'll make. The one really unique thing about it that I've seen as well is people that I onboard to it who do not care about personal privacy onboard other people to it. And it's, again, not because they want the end-to-end encryption. They don't even really realize that that's going on, but they love the feature set. They love voice messages, things that are just common in other messaging apps. Like I understand there's nothing like super unique about Signal, but it hits this perfect niche that I see people evangelizing it who aren't even privacy people, which is amazing because that means privacy spreads even without them like having woken up to this need. It's really cool. It's an awesome phenomena. And it's something that makes Signal a killer app for me, having replaced pretty much every other messenger when possible. I do still, unfortunately, have to use Telegram quite often because it is way better at bigger groups, and it is still the norm for like business dev stuff, which for my job, that's a lot of what I do. But slowly moving more and more of that over to Signal.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the group stuff being so bad on Signal, I think I'd move everything over because we still run all the Ungovernable Misfits stuff on there because I can chuck massive files in there, like audio files and like video files and stuff like that, and like break things down by different categories. So for organizing things, it's actually really useful, but I'm always thinking, fuck, I don't really want to say what I want to say in there because I don't trust it. I want to use Signal for that. So I'm always like across the two. If there was a way that somehow, even if it was like a paid version or something like that with Signal, I'd do that and then just fuck Telegram off completely.
Yeah, the call out too, and this is something I mentioned before, is like the use case differs when it's an openly accessible group. Like if it's something that anyone can join, it doesn't matter if it's end-to-end encrypted because your adversary can just join the group. Like there's also this like weird fixation on like everything has to be end-to-end encrypted, but it's an open chat that anyone can join. So like a group chat on Signal that's open versus a group chat on Telegram that's open, the Signal one's not any more private. unless you're just
I'm
hoping that no one joins who's surveilling it. So that's where like I actually don't even really mind that big groups are on Telegram, because the features are better and it's not private anyways. But then
Big
you can
groups.
have the separate chats in Signal or something, so you have those one-on-one more private ones where you can be a little bit more free.
I'm talking more specifically about like our ungovernable misfit one, where we've got like whatever it is, 6 of us, 7 of us in there who are
Yeah.
all like trusted people that I, would say things that I wouldn't in a big group.
Yeah.
That is still on Telegram just because it's so much more functional. And like, I guess
true.
there's maybe not that many people who have that use, but I guess that there must be, because, smaller businesses, like smaller groups where it's all trusted people for organizing things. Like, it'd be useful. I'd pay for that if they somehow had a way to do it.
Yeah, they do need to continue improving groups, because the like, I don't think they need groups from a privacy perspective, but just from a like market capture, for lack of a better term. If people can do all of their big groups well there, then they'll just move everything to Signal, and that continues to increase who's using it for one-on-one messages, and it has a knock-on effect.
Two things from me on the Signal piece before we move on. First one, guys, in the live chat, want to get your thoughts here as well. If there's what are your favorite tools and apps? Please bring them up. If we get some interesting ones, we might have a quick conversation about them as well. Moving back to Signal, Observer in the Noster chat, Seth, is asking why did you choose Molly instead of Signal, and maybe explain for those that don't know what Molly is and how it compares.
Signal instead of Molly, I assume he means?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Either is fine. Both use Signal under the hood. They use Signal servers. They use Signal's protocol. So they're really just, Molly is really an alternative client that has some additional features built in on top. Unless they've shipped something that I don't know. I don't know if they ever actually shipped their like completely separate protocol and network, but I haven't kept up with their dev over the past year or so. But for me, the main reason why I stick with Signal specifically is that I am very wary of using alternative clients unless I have a very, very explicit reason for it. There wasn't anything last time I really was looking at Molly that swayed me to use it. And the risk of using alternative clients is that you will necessarily lag behind upstream on updates, specifically security updates, fixes, that sort of thing. Hopefully you're not lagging too far, but you are going to lag. Like, there's no way the alternative client will ship those things before the upstream, because they're pulling those things in from upstream. So I generally don't prefer using things like and people are going to hate this, but using things like LibreWolf instead of Firefox proper. Or even there's like even more further down forks of Firefox that people recommend that are very niche, that then have less maintainers. They take longer to ship security updates and things like this that I think are very, very critical to have the latest security immediately. Like, if you think of the normal ways that people get pwned as far as malware or as far as 0 days go, it's browser or it's messaging app. Like, there have been many in iMessage that have happened. There have been some Telegram 0 days. There's been some like very interesting ones in messengers. And as you move down to alternative clients, you get slower updates and you make yourself more vulnerable to those things. And I think browsers and chat apps specifically are the most important, almost, because it's the most common ones where you're opening files or where you're going to websites you maybe don't trust, that sort of thing. So I prefer Signal. I know people who use Molly. Most people I know who use Molly just use it so that they can have 2 Signal profiles on the same phone. You can do that other ways on Android at least, but that's the main reason I know people use it, just so they can have like a public and a personal Signal profile. But yeah, that's my not so short TLDR.
Appreciated. This might be a bit of a naive question, but can Molly users talk to Signal users and vice versa if they use the same protocol under the hood?
Like I said, unless something changed. I know that there was this grand plan by Molly like 3-4 years ago to essentially like break off from Signal, do their own network with like Monero payments integrated, and there's like this grand vision that I donated to and helped them out with a little bit. I don't think that ever came to fruition. If it did, please someone in the chat correct me, because I just may have totally missed it, but I would be surprised if I missed that. And so from my understanding, you can only talk to Signal users or Molly users because they're it is the same network. Like there's no difference.
Right.
It's just an alternative client. That is my understanding
Okay.
of Molly today. So a Molly user is a Signal user.
Okay.
Really.
Nice. Okay, thanks for clarifying. Max, before I hand over to you, I just want to shout out a couple of people in the Noster chat. We've got BTC Wrestles at 5,000 sats. Thank you very much. Rev Hoddle and Observer have zapped 21 sats each. And then Richard casually hopped in and zapped 10,000 sats, saying test zap, happy Freedom Tech Friday, Misfits. Well, thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you also to Schrodinger and Expatriotic who have sent tips on XMR chat. And Expatriotic has said his favourite options are Futo, Obtainian, and Mulvad. And Mulvad is actually what I was about to jump into.
Take it away.
So, you see. Yeah, Mulvad is, for me, probably the app that I use more than anything else. Like, every device that I have runs it all the time and has done for years. And I just think it's probably the most useful, simple way for someone to have better privacy. It's very well priced. You can pay in Bitcoin and Monero $5 a month, and then it's 10% off that if you pay in Bitcoin or Monero. Pay as you go, no tie-in. Just I just can't fault it. I'm using. Oh fuck! Is that me? There's a beeping in the background.
I hear it, but it's not me.
Likewise.
That's me. Hang on.
Listeners, you didn't think we were going to get through the full 60 minutes without something breaking, did you? I'm just really happy it's not me.
It's just
This
a
time.
beeping. It's just a beeping.
Yeah. For
We'll
what it's
survive.
worth, Max, if you can still hear us, like, it was absolutely fine. Like, it was really not
Oh,
that
really?
loud. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah, so that would be my one. Mulvad. I just think the cost of it for what you get is incredible. It's very, very simple. Clean UX, and you can pay obviously with Bitcoin and Monero. Like, I think I can't find fault with it in any way personally.
Yeah, my favorite thing about Mulvad, I'm also a fellow Mulvad user as well, by the way. Just to add as well, they've also got they now have native Lightning Network payments as well for your top ups. But my favorite part of it is the accounting system that they have. No emails, no nothing like that. Yeah, Bitcoin Beach, Bournemouth. That's a good point, Max. You didn't actually say what Mulvad is. They're asking what is Mulvad. So maybe I'll let you. I'll let you take that. I'll let you take that away first before I talk about the accounting system.
Sorry, everyone. I'm getting so distracted by this fucking beeping, and I can't find out where it is. Mulvad is a VPN service, and in my personal opinion, it's the best one out there. I've used iVPN, which also takes payments in Bitcoin, and I think Monero. I just didn't find it as clean. I didn't find it as easy to use, and like pricing structures and everything, I think on Mulvad are just so simple and clean. So yeah, if you're not already running a VPN, or you are running a VPN but you're giving all your personal details to that VPN provider, maybe consider trying it. You can literally try it for a month for $5 or a bit less if you're paying in Bitcoin or Monero, and use it across 5 devices, which I think is pretty decent. Yeah, I think anyone who's not trying it, definitely consider it.
Thanks
So
for spelling
I
that.
will make
Seth.
a very specific call out. I do love Mulvad. I have been fully converted to an Obscura user instead, which is still using Mulvad. So it still falls under your use case here. But I do want to shill them and use the opportunity to harass them about adding Monero support. The TLDR is Obscura is a 2-entity VPN. So Obscura themselves run VPN servers, and they partnered with Mulvad to run the essentially exit server. So you use both, which hides your true IP pod and hides what you're actually viewing from Obscura. So unless they collude, there's no way for them to know the combination of your source IP and what you're actually doing, which is the main downside to VPNs generally, is that it's not removing trust, it's shifting trust to where you're trusting Mullvad now, knowing what you're doing and where you live, versus trusting your ISP or someone else, which is a much better trade-off. And I highly recommend doing something like Mullvad no matter what. But I will say that Obscura, for me, their client is absolutely killer, working beautifully. They are Apple-centric right now in clients, so they only have macOS and iOS at the moment, but they have a WireGuard config generator, so you can use just the normal WireGuard app on Android or Linux or Windows while they continue to work on getting clients out for those. But for me, it's essentially better privacy and is as quick and seamless as Mullvad. I do not notice any difference, and for me, the clients actually work better. I've had less like weird edge cases than with Mullvad, specifically with doing Tailscale at the same time. I've had a lot of like weird issues with Mullvad trying to do Tailscale, and Obscura's clients, like Carl, the founder, specifically also loves Tailscale, and he built in like he made sure that Tailscale would be properly supported from day one. And I've been an Obscura user since before they launched publicly. Highly recommend it. They are Apple centric, like I said. Right now, they take credit card and Lightning, but they are adding Monero support, and I will keep harassing Carl to add Monero support, because it's the necessary next step for them, and he has already promised that they are going to do it, so it is going to happen. But if you want to use Obscura, or you use Obscura and you want to pay with Monero, please go harass Carl about it. I'll drop his X username in the chat, and people can attack him.
Yeah, I've just dropped the link to their main website as well. There's a couple of questions from the Nostra Live chat as well, Seth, as well. You've been chatting about that. Observer asks, what about NIM VPN, in parentheses, after some further development? Not familiar with that one. Hopefully you are. If not, we can ignore it. And also Bon asks, Seth, have you noticed a speed or reliability difference with the extra hop using Obscura?
Yeah, I definitely have not. If anything, it's been more dependable. I was very surprised than Mullvad, which makes no sense. So
yeah.
that's where I think it's client based, that I think their client's better.
Interesting.
Than the Mullvad client has been. Yes, you should harass Dong. Indeed. Gently, yes. Okay. On another note, yes. So for me, it's been like, I was surprised from like before they launched, I started trying it on my Mac because I use Mac for work, and I just turned it on and I forgot that it existed, and I just didn't have any headaches. Tailscale worked perfectly. Speed, I saw no issues, no latency issues. I'm doing this podcast over Obscura. I've done every podcast I've done for the past year plus over Obscura. I can't remember exactly when they launched, but I think it's been over a year. So for me, it's been just absolutely seamless. The one caveat I'll say is their iOS client. I've had some issues with it when it updates, not reconnecting. And I need to open an issue with them about that, because that's obviously not good. But they just launched their iOS client like a week ago, so it's very new. Pricing?
What's the pricing like on it?
$8 a month.
Okay, yeah. Not too dissimilar. It's not like crazy.
Yeah, so more, but to me it is worth it, because again, there is still trust. You're trusting that Obscura and Mullvad don't collude, but they have financial incentive not to collude, because it destroys both of their business models. And if they don't collude, then you get better privacy and anonymity than just using Mullvad specifically. So I definitely do like it. Is it
retard proof? Like, I find Mullvad to be very simple. Is it something where I'm going to switch across and then be like, oh, fucking hell, this is annoying?
No. But again, like right now, the clients are only for macOS and iOS. Mm-hmm. So like Linux and Android, you'll need to use the WireGuard app, which is probably not going to be as seamless. So you may want to wait for the actual client. Yeah. I would say wait.
Both. Because I think if you just use Mac, then it would be fine. Mac and iOS, it sounds like it'd be fine. But for someone like me, if I'm using a MacBook, but also a Linux machine, and also an iPhone, and also Graphene, which I can run all of that currently using Mullvad with no issues, that sounds more of a pain in the arse. But you're saying that given a little bit of time, actually that will be sorted.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
expect it won't be too long too, because I know their main target was launching the iOS client, and then they're going to start doing Android, probably Android first and then Linux, because obviously Android is much bigger market share.
Yeah.
So I would expect that will come pretty quickly once they have official clients. Definitely give it a try.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, that was a very lengthy conversation, but hopefully the audience got some great insights from that one. Three apps or tools that I'm very fond of. Albeit I only fleetingly tested Obscura a while back. When they get more of a wide coverage in terms of cross-platform, I think I'll definitely be making the hop. No pun intended. There, because the pricing, did you like that? Because the pricing is not that indifferent to Mulvad, but it seems like having that extra hop does seem to fix, like Seth said, most of the main problem that I have with most generic kind of VPNs as well. So I've learned a lot with that one. I appreciate the insights there. Right, we have covered the main topics. We're going to get into the questions now. As always, we take we allow the live chat questions to take precedent over the ones that are pre-submitted, of which there is a lot of them. Before I dive in, we've got Bon zapped 1,337 sats. Thank you, Bon. And Rev Hoddle has zapped again with 21 sats. I think this was to entice us to take his question first, which I'll take the bait, Rev Hoddle. And he asks, I heard on Citadel Dispatch that Odell made a Noster app which docks the location of npubs via photo metadata. That doesn't sound like something Matt would do, but okay, I'll take your word for it. How do you confirm there is no location metadata within photos? Well, I'll kick off with the two ways that I'm aware, one for iOS and one for Android. On iOS, you can literally just turn that setting off in the privacy section. I believe you can also do it on a per photo basis as well. So if you prefer to kind of keep the location metadata and then just turn it off for specific ones, maybe that you're going to share elsewhere or publicly, then you can go in and turn that off before you do that. And you can also do that from within the share sheet at the time of kind of sharing the photo. So it's not something that you need to kind of go ahead and plan. And the other one I'm aware of, which I use on my Graphene phone, is an app called Scrambled XIF, which is essentially just an app that does exactly this. It removes the location metadata from any photos that you share with the application. It saves a copy of that into your photo or wherever your photos are stored on your Android device, and then you can just go ahead and share that via any of the methods that you were planning on, safe in the knowledge that the location metadata, and in fact I believe all of the metadata, has also been stripped out as well. Any questions, comments, anything I got wrong there, guys?
No, I think you nailed it. The one other way that I will say that you can do this as well is by sending a picture to yourself on Signal, note to self, or between Signal profiles. Signal strips photo metadata by default as well.
It also compresses the image though and makes it a very, very shit quality.
You can do before you hit send, once you pick your photo, there is an HD option. So you can do that. But yeah, I'm not saying necessarily to use it for like your super high res thing you're about to print out, but for like the everyday day-to-day stuff, yeah, it's super nice. I use it very, very, very often because I just use like the note to self on Signal is so underrated. I use that thing for everything. Like TXIDs, like addresses, so many things. It's just a super easy way to send stuff cross-platform. It's just a default contact. If you hit chat and then just start typing note, there's a separate note to self contact, which is just basically it's a chat with yourself.
And another little tip, you can pin that to the top of your chat list, so it's like right at the top. So whenever you need to do all of the stuff that Seth just mentioned, like share an address across platform or any information, it's right at the top and it's very easy to access.
Yep. Yeah, I have it pinned
brilliant
on my main profile. Then I also just have a chat between my two profiles, a public and personal one, and that way I can send stuff back and forth that way too. It's life-changing.
Very nice.
Thank you for your question, Rev Hoddle. That was a good one. Next up, we have. I feel like we may have answered this one, but if you have anything to add, let me know, guys. If not, we can skip over it. Liberty Tools asks, "What are you guys most excited about in the freedom tech space right now? Likewise, what are you most concerned about?" I feel like we've talked for the last 40 minutes about specific tools that we're excited about. So if there is maybe nothing springing to mind that you can cover off quickly about what else you're most excited about, maybe let's cover off quickly what aspect in and around freedom tech are you kind of most concerned about.
I'll kick it off, but I'll also make one quick callback to earlier. So I know I mentioned Obscura before. I went and harassed Carl about it while I was talking about Obscura. And he said Monero is the next project for one of his team members. Already a Monero fan, the guy who's going to implement it. So
Nice.
it's happening. It's happening.
See,
They're finalizing some improvements
guys.
to the iOS one. It really does. It really does. Also, being nice and making friends with people who build freedom
Absolutely
is a good approach as well. But
maybe do that bit
Make
first,
friends with
and
them
then harass.
first.
Yes.
Then harass them.
Well, I was the
approach.
friend to nudge him, and then he said thousands of people have stated that that's the main thing that they want Obscura to do. Okay. So to add Monero support. So it helps. The harassment is the weapon that I can use to bludgeon him. But yes, that aside, what am I most concerned about in the freedom tech space? I feel like a lot of it just comes back to Bitcoin. Like, will it get better at privacy and self-custody, or will it stagnate and be co-opted by the suits, is a question that seems to be going the wrong direction recently. It seems like the conversation has shifted away from privacy that we had for a while after the Samurai Wallet indictment, and most people are just battling back and forth about whether they should run knots and what constitutes spam in a mindless
should,
conversation.
It's great.
Yeah. And I say that as somebody who has spent far too much time arguing about both of those issues on Twitter, and finally realized, I'm just wasting my life doing this. I think for me, that's really the thing that I'm most concerned about. Like, I know there's questions about this, so we'll talk about it more, but Monero being attacked, not successfully, but being attacked, I think is a good wake-up call that Monero is not invulnerable. Even if it did survive this without issues, Monero is not invulnerable. And thinking, like, a way that I've viewed the money space in freedom tech for so long is like Monero and Bitcoin are hedges to each other. But if Bitcoin does not have achievable privacy, or specifically, I think that the most important thing right now is good self-custody for Lightning wallets, it isn't a hedge against Monero because I don't want to use it if I can't achieve good privacy. And I know that Ashigaru exists right now. I'm still a little hesitant on that front, especially considering Samurai's plea deal and that setting a precedent for Ashigaru, unfortunately, being probably prosecuted at some point if they continue to grow. That concerns me because it's still a centralized service that can still be easily shut down. Nothing has changed about that. It hasn't been decentralized. So I guess just, a bit bearish seeing Monero be attacked, not successfully, but it just kind of helped to open my eyes of like, okay, like Monero is not invulnerable. Like, we have been attacked so many times and Monero has survived, but that doesn't mean that it is invulnerable. And that kind of made me start to think like, oh crap, like, is Bitcoin actually good enough for me specifically? I'm not saying for everybody. I know many people are okay with Bitcoin's trade-offs, but for me specifically, I think that's really what I'm most concerned about is like, will Bitcoin continue to be a good hedge and companion to Monero, or a replacement for Monero if somehow there was some massive attack that destroyed Monero? That has not happened. I don't see that happening, but it's just, I think, a good thing to kind of postulate. So, yeah.
Max?
I'd say mine is just the general conversations and the what is talked about, what is seen as important by most people in the Bitcoin world, is just generally a concern to me. We talk about it all the time, but just this huge shift recently, which is much more, it's okay if it's just an investment tool. Like, it's fine. It doesn't matter if we just use ETFs or invest in holding companies, and it doesn't really matter if you can't use your Bitcoin the way it's supposed to be used, and it doesn't matter if everything's KYC'd, and it just seems that there's a very small percentage of people fighting, and then the people who do really fight it, like the samurais, like Ashigaru are doing at the moment, they are then putting themselves at huge risk. So I just think that the general trend concerns me. The fact that people are cheering on countries trying to acquire Bitcoin, and that seems to be the biggest talking points and has been for a long time. And at the end of the day, as we knew, it's just actually they're going to steal that Bitcoin off their subjects. So yeah, I think that's my biggest concern.
Yeah, echo most of those thoughts, guys. My biggest concern would be, and this is kind of referring to just general erosions of freedoms and privacy, is just like apathy amongst the general public. We are obviously all within a very small echo chamber of like the freedom tech enthusiasts. You wouldn't be sat here listening to this if you weren't within that ecosystem. But if you kind of look over your shoulder and look outside, and a prime example would be friends and family, is that when we have things like the Online Safety Act in the UK that requires you to show your ID to get on fucking Reddit, for God's sake, or
Can't even have a wanking piece anymore.
Exactly, or you have the proposal in the EU for chat control, which is essentially backdooring most apps so that they can be quote screened locally and then reported upwards if they find anything untoward to the powers that be, which is essentially just backdooring your phone. There's just a general apathy towards or complete lack of pushback to this sort of stuff, and it feels like the old meme of the frogs boiling in the pan. And whilst there are some loud voices pushing back against this within our little echo chamber, I'm just fearful that that's not going to be enough, and there's not going to be enough of a pushback to kind of stop these things before they're too late. So that would be it for me, really.
I'm going to push back on you saying that there's a lack of pushback, because I actually don't think that that's true. I've seen, and it's very algorithm specific, but I've seen a ton of posts like when all of that went live. I've seen a ton of posts by just like normies with massive engagement talking about how insane this ID verification is and how insane the anti-VPN push is. I really do think it has hit a nerve for people, because it finally actually does something that they realize. Like, so many of the surveillance things just don't impact people in a visible enough way that they're just like, whatever. But when people are prevented from doing what they normally would do by this, like, I think the big mistake that governments made in that push was that they made it way too cumbersome. And so now it's something that actually gets in people's way, that actually stops them from doom scrolling, which is hilarious in so many ways and ironic in so many ways. But people desiring to do things that are probably actually harmful for them, I think it's actually caused a lot of people to wake up for this. There's been massive rushes to use VPNs in ways that have never existed before. Now, I know a lot of that is going to go to the super sketchy, scammy VPNs and not necessarily the good ones. I understand that it's not all a win, but I think that it's one of those events that red pills people that normally would not care at all about privacy, but suddenly they go like, what the hell? I have to give her my ID to go on Twitter, like, to see these posts? Like, this is insanity. Like, what can I do to work around this? And then it starts a rabbit hole for people. Not all of them are going to go down that rabbit hole, but I think for many, it's one of those kind of like catalyst moments. And I have seen some like way more engagement on posts, even by accounts that I follow, VPN accounts, etc., than I've ever seen in my life because of this. Because people realize how insane it is. So I definitely think that there has been really good pushback on this. Obviously, there can be more, but.
Okay, well, I can only hope that you're right, and that my lens at which I'm viewing this through is too black-pilled. Quick question from Observer in the chat. At Seth, isn't Ashigaru Whirlpool some kind of decentralized as it uses a Tor onion for the coordinator. Am I wrong? Seth, how would you assess the risk of and takedown seizure of an onion service except DDoS attacks? And he sent that with a zap of 100 sats. Thank you very much, Observer. I'll hit the first bit just so we don't overload Seth on his first one back. We don't want to tire him out too quickly. The fact that the Ashigaru Whirlpool uses an onion service doesn't make it decentralized at all. It's still hosted on a single server under the control of a single group or entity. Yes, it makes them harder to find than it just being a ClearNet one, because the only way that you can access this coordinator is via that Tor onion service, but that in no way, shape or form makes it decentralized. And Seth, before I hand over, just to quickly recap the question, how would you assess the risk or takedown seizure of an onion service except for DDoS attacks?
Yeah, I mean, for me, yes, the onion service itself, if perfectly run, is quite resilient and quite hard to find the source of. The main thing I'll say is it almost never comes down. Like, I think there's only one case that I know of where an actual onion domain was located, like where it was hosted from. Every single other instance I know of where some service that was run behind an onion domain was pwned was some other OPSEC mistake. So the more problematic one is like, okay, Ashigaru is making money off of these Whirlpool mixes. What do they do with the money? How do they actually use that Bitcoin to live off of? Like, how are they securing the servers that they're using? Are they linked back to them in any way? Like, those are the ways where things are going to like potentially come back to bite them. It's probably not the onion domain itself that will be problematic, but it's really the other areas of OPSEC where other things can be unwound, and then that just means that they can take down the server, and that makes the onion domain go away. Like you said, Q, it's not decentralized in any way. The protocol is not decentralized. The domain is not decentralized. It's a single onion domain. Like, it's not decentralized, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that it is much more vulnerable to take down. And that's the main problem that I have with the privacy tools, really with mixing on Bitcoin, because there are other privacy tools that don't require a central entity, but mixing specifically in the best way right now does, and it's really problematic.
Yeah, it's a tale as old as time, isn't it? That anytime you see any hacks or people getting captured or anything like that, it's never, or it's very rarely the kind of tech that fails. It's the human doing something in and around that tech, like being phished for their private keys to somebody on the other side of the world, or just that's just one example. But yeah, like you correctly said, it's normally the human error that kind of gets these things to kind of fall over, rather than an onion service being pinpointed.
Yeah,
and, they're tracing a location from that or something like that.
My favorite example of this is Helix, which was a centralized like custodial mixer, like garbage technology, but it was really popular for a while. The way that they actually pwned the guy, they thought that they had found him. They weren't sure, and they subpoenaed Google, got access to this guy's Google Photos. They were pretty sure he was the guy running Helix. In his Google Photos, they found an image from his Google glasses that he wore while administering the darknet site for his mixer. And he had taken a picture with his Google glasses.
Oh my God.
It was uploaded to Google Photos, and it showed the admin portal open in a browser tab on his laptop, which was in front of him. Wow. And like, it's that type of thing where, like, in every other way, the guy had actually done a really good job covering his tracks, but it was that one slip up that got him. And that had nothing to do with Tor or the Tor network or the onion domain or anything like that. But it's those weird things where like it's a slip up that ends up being the kind of the nail in the coffin there. But it's also just a hilarious example, because like, you're administering a darknet marketplace or a darknet tool for mixing Bitcoin that is illegal, and you're wearing your Google glasses. Like, seriously?
Yeah, I'd not heard of that one before. That's I'm gonna have to read up about that more in detail. But thank you for bringing that one up. And again, perfect example of what you were saying. Sazwall has zapped with 5,555 sats. Excuse me. They said be ungovernable. Thank you very much. And BTC Wrestle has just hopped out of the stream and said, "Have a good weekend, fellas," alongside a 10,000 sat boost. Very overwhelmed with the generosity here, guys. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
One quick final question, because we're running up at the top of the hour, and it comes from the Noster live chat from Lake Surfer. They said, what are the trade-offs of using Alby Hub with your own node versus running Lightning without them? So I'm going to presume that you're using Alby Hub for like the kind of web services that they offer. You know, the most common one is like an LN URL or a Lightning address. That means that somebody that can pay you at, max at ungovernablemisfits.com, and you don't have to do all of the web hosting and web server administration behind that, and all of the things that entails. The main trade-off with that would be, in theory, the Alby Hub, when somebody pings, lakesurfer at albyhub.com or whatever that URL they use, instead of it, if it was malicious, it could swap out the Lightning invoice. So instead of requesting a true Lightning invoice from your node so that you get paid, they could swap that out for a Lightning invoice that kind of pays their own Lightning node. And you, unless you were the one kind of checking for this going on and seeing that the payment wasn't going through, it would be quite hard for you to detect, unless somebody else that was paying you was like, hey, did you get that 1,000 sats I sent you last week? And you'd be like, no. So that's kind of the main risk, and obviously Alby Hub are incentivized not to do that, because if they do start doing that, then they're quickly going to run out of customers. So that would be the main trade-off, and I hope that that did answer your question. So thanks for hopping in into the live chat with that one. And guys, we are over time already. That's the fastest Freedom Tech Friday I've ever been through. That was over in the blink of an eye, and by far and away the busiest in terms of questions submitted ahead of time, which we only got to one of them, unfortunately. I've still got a list of like 20 that we need to get through in future shows. So if you are listening to this live or on the podcast feed afterwards and we didn't get to your question, don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you. It's all in my notes nook, ready for us to catch up with in subsequent shows. And if you've been in the live chat, it's been popping off with zaps and with questions this week, both on Noster and on Twitter. So thanks so much for getting involved, guys. Like this was a really, really fun one. Good to have all the boys back as well, and also no technical difficulties as well. So
incredible.
Thoroughly enjoyed that one. That was the best one yet. Thanks everybody for stopping by, and as always, we will see you at the same time next week.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Appreciate you.
We pull the plug in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.